Alright, we got that sorted out. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live! Hello and welcome! It is time for the Monaco Grand Prix here for the Division 1 Championship of ISRL Esports. My name is Fallen Monkeys, back here in the booth, ready to take you through the action, joined here this week by Rotation. Rotation, are you here with us? How you doing here today?
Yeah, hello. I'm very, very good today. Just came home from Greece, so I'm all relaxed and ready to commentate this
Awesome.
Monaco race.
Welcome back. Well, welcome back. Welcome home. Hope Greece was nice. I'm a little jealous if I'm gonna be honest. But I guess it's good to be back and happy to have you in the booth with us here today for I'm sure what's going to be a very exciting and very hectic Monaco Grand Prix for the Division 1 Championship. Now, I just want to check in. Are you in the lobby at all here, or are you? Do you need an okay.
I'm seeing the feed, so it's
okay.
all good.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure that you didn't need an invite before we get too far into it. Would have felt a little bit bad if that was the case here.
Yeah. I think we have who's out first? I think it's Car Mentalist. No, he's on.
I've got Passassin out first as he's coming around Razkas and now the final corner. About to start a flying lap in that Mercedes. So, I mean, Rotation, do you want to take us through the lap, or do you want me to do the honors here?
No, I can't. Oh, he's already invalidated the lap, so...
Alright. So who's, let's see, who's next?
Let's see, I think it's the Alfa Romeo Justice. Yeah. So, coming down now to Casino Square, or rather up, you wanna use fourth gear here, third if you really want some rotation, now third for this corner. Takes it very nicely. Now the brakes can easily lock up here, and which he also locked up, you know. He locked up and I accidentally switched off. He goes very wide at the hairpin, which isn't optimal. Cuts that corner nicely. Good second gear corner there. Now bit of breathing space coming now down to the chicane, which you brake at the 75 meters and cut that inside curve nicely there from Justas. Now the 50 brake marker board, you want to brake to fourth gear here, full throttle, then back to fourth, cuts that curve very nicely, goes to second gear here, very nice corner. Taking the last corner here, touches a bit of the outside there and keeps it tight to the inside for a 1 minute 11.5. Very good lap.
Yep, a good lap from him here to kick things off here in the still early stages. I'm expecting probably most of the grid to aim around, I would say, somewhere around a 110, probably closer to a 109, I would think, maybe near the end of the session from some of the quicker drivers. But I think you might be a little bit more familiar with the deltas that we'd be looking at than I am. But I do think I think we'll probably see a lot of 109s. I think, especially near the end of the session, from of course, the likes of the usual suspects that we would see. I'm thinking like Izat, Passassin, Wouter. Etc. The usual guys.
And Car Mentalist 1.5 seconds off, or 6 from Justas, so maybe the track is just very slow at the moment and we might only see a 1 minute 11 as the fastest, because I know Justas and he is a very quick driver, I must say. And he has gone for a second lap also.
Yeah,
we're starting now on the same tires.
Now, I know you had mentioned going through Justice's lap that there were a little bit of, looks like he just went faster, and there's Skilla with a 110.1, so already we're seeing the quicker times come through, and I think for Justice, it might have just been sort of a banker lap for him, just get a feel of the car here. Of course, a little bit of a different setting. We're under the night sky here in Monaco rather than under the sun like we're normally used to seeing. So that might have a little something. It might be affecting the track temperatures a little bit. Maybe the driver's not in that same feeling like they normally would, given that normally we do race during the daytime, where I would think things are a little bit warmer and a little bit easier to get into the temperature ranges.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely think it's a colder track during the night, and yeah, we have our first 109 there too.
There you go. So, yeah, Jerome. Oh, and Jerome had a nice lap. Isaac Kush, meanwhile, can't really say the same as he went right into the wall at Razcast there on that lap. It was invalidated, but not a good start to the qualifying for the Aston Martin driver here. As he's gonna have to go again and try to put something on the board here.
Yes, this is definitely a wheel track. As speaking from experience as a pad player, it's so much harder to control the car through those tight sections, especially in Sector 2. So when I tried this track on the wheel, it was definitely a much enjoyable experience. Jamie won, beats Jeroen.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so Jamie in the Jamie won in the Haas, showing some pace, and I mean, I know Jamie. He's showing a lot of pace, or like glimpses of pace here and there. It's more of the, like I keep saying consistently, it's the consistency for Jamie, and but I mean, showing he's got raw pace around Monaco, and on a track like this one where, let's be honest, I'll say it right from the get-go, I don't think we're going to see too much overtaking. I think if Jamie can keep up, get a qualifying position way high up there, it might be to his advantage here once we do jump into the race.
Yeah, definitely. Qualifying position is everything on this track. And I just saw Jamie 1 cutting the chicane, which I don't think is allowed. So the stewards might have to look at that, but moving on. But yeah, coming back to the qualifying positions, it's definitely key. So it's an easy one-stop. I think you can pit for the hards on lap 1 and do the entire race, you know.
Oh yeah, like I know myself in Division 4 when I was racing, I did a soft to mediums, and I really had no issues whatsoever. I didn't really feel any worry of the tires falling off on me, so very easy one-stop, and I do have to agree, you could probably pit for the hards on lap 1 if you really want to, just go to the end of the race and probably not be too worried about it. As much as I think the hard tires, I don't like them personally. I'd rather take the mediums than the hards, but I mean, the option's there if you do take early wing damage, or even worse, if we do see a safety car on lap 1, maybe we see some drivers give it a shot, just pit for a set of hards and just try to go as long as they can.
Yeah. And I wanted to point out that the attendance for this race is extraordinary, because it's a pretty common thing that people like to skip Monaco in league racing, but these guys, they have some commitment to the league, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and especially in Division 1, I'm not surprised to see most of the grid here with a full 19-driver grid. I know some of the other divisions' attendance was a little bit of an issue, but I mean, like you were saying, rotation, it shows the commitment of the drivers here, especially in Division 1, in the top-tier division, and you know what? It's what I like to see, and I think it's going to make for a fantastic race once we do get to it. I mean, of course, got to get through qualifying first. 8.5 minutes to go. Jamie 1 still hanging on to that pole position, only just inching out the time that Jerome set previously. Total P is getting close, then breaking down into the 110s and beyond afterwards. But of course, we've got the likes of Passassin, Isaac Kush. Isaac Kush just set a banker lap to end all banker laps here with a 24.6.
I was about to say Skilla had a very fast second sector, and now he's on the top of the time chart here, so...
Oh yeah,
nice pace from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that pace on that first lap, and improving on that pace here in the on the second lap. 109.5, about just under 0.4 of a second quicker than Jamien's provisional time. And Carmentalist on the medium tires, actually setting a 109.555. Passassin with a 109.546 on the medium tires as well. So with these times falling on the mediums, do you think we maybe see a couple more drivers try a lap on the mediums, seeing now that they've at least got some sort of pace, even compared to the soft tires, which in theory tend to be faster.
Yeah, I actually have some inside information from...
Do you?
Yeah, just before I joined this booth, I was in with some other guys, and they were saying that it's gonna rain at the end of the race.
Really? Oh, that's gonna make things interesting here then if it does rain.
So I think those medium laps, I think they're planning to go to the rain. I don't think they want to do a pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it is a bit of a gamble depending on, of course, it's one thing to say it's raining, but I mean, if it's just going to be a light drizzle for, for 10, 15 laps, then we could maybe hit a point where we never really see that changeover period. But even then, on those medium tires, if you can keep your nose clean, I mean, literally and figuratively here on this track, you can go a little bit longer, hang on to that track position on the mediums, and even if you do need to put a set of softs on at the end of the race, if that intermediate tire conditions never come, you might still be an advantage being on the quicker tire at the end of the race. So I can't say it's a bad idea to set a time on the mediums, especially if you feel you've got the pace, and so far, Passas and Carmentalist, well, they've got the pace here on those tires.
Yeah, they are looking for a very strong finish, seems like. And I'm now realizing how quick they are, because they're also beating soft runners who are behind them. So they got some serious pace.
Yeah, definitely, and that's I mean, P2, P3. I mean, Skill is the only one that's really ahead on those softs, but when you're looking at the gap, it's really not by all that much. Just what is it, 2-3 100ths of a second is Skill faster. I mean, of course, the track is naturally going to get quicker, and with a lot of these runners on the softs and committing to the softs, we might just see times really start to fall into the lower 109s once we've got the extra rubber on the track, the extra grip. I mean, Total P's had a purple second sector, but unfortunately invalidates the lap time, so it's not going to count for much.
Nathan had a purple sector too now, and he's coming to the line. Ooh, it's a P5 for him.
I mean, still a good lap time from Nathan JB, who, I mean, through very little fault of Nathan JB, just has he's had a little bit of string of bad luck in these races. But I mean, here in Monaco, after 2 weeks off, after a break period, all he needs is one really good result just to to bring back that confidence, get that, I guess I'll call it the oomph back, due to lack of a better term, and try to close out the season pretty decently. And putting that car up into P5's a good way to go about it here.
Yeah, definitely. As we said before, track position is key, whether you are on the soft or mediums, actually. So, yeah, definitely a strong position for Nathan.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely in this track where, like I said previously, I don't think we're going to see too many overtakes outside of the chaos of lap 1. But once we start getting into the groove, I think it's really just going to come down to pit stop strategies and essentially avoiding mistakes and keeping that front wing out of the wall as much as possible, which, I mean, here in Monaco, a lot easier said than done, but so far I'm not seeing too many issues from any of the drivers here. It's really just a matter of track limits, and I guess that might be something to keep an eye out here once we get into the race, with drivers trying to extend, trying to cut the corners they're allowed to cut, but just you can't do it too much, and invalidating a lap time here in qualifying, not the end of the world, but when you start tacking on time penalty after time penalty in the race, that can really affect you, especially in a track like this where safety cars can come out anytime. And back to the, I mean, looking at those medium tires, that was Justice, a 109.2 on the medium tires, so...
This man has something inside him no one else has. I mean, that's a very quick time.
And that's on 2-lap-old medium tires too, not even like fresh of the fresh.
Yeah.
And so, Wouter, meanwhile, just a 109.7, only up into P6 on the softs, so... it really seems like the medium tires are the way to go here in this qualifying session, at least from what I'm seeing. I mean, 3 out of the top 4 have their times on the mediums.
Yeah, it seems like the colder conditions maybe favor the mediums for some reason. Maybe less overheating, so... Yeah,
Nope.
it's definitely a good choice for those. And... Oh yeah, okay, now Skilla is on the softs now, so... Does he really want to do a lap on the softs and having to make a pit stop to another set of slicks in the pit stop in the race? Sorry.
We'll see. I mean, I think as well, riding on board with Knight as he had a little bit of a moment coming through the swimming pool, clipping the wall a little bit. So I think that might be a bit of a slower lap. But I mean, whether you're on, I think if you start on the mediums, yeah, I guess you'll go mediums to softs unless the rain really does start to fall a little bit harder. But if you're Skilla, do you think maybe he, depending on when the rain actually decides to come in the race, do you think maybe he's going to try to extend those soft tires a little bit longer, knowing how, I guess I'll say, limited the wear is to the tires on this track? Like we said, easy one stop in the drives either way, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see drivers maybe extending those soft tires a little bit more. And Skilla, a 109.2, so provisional pole position as we're down to the last minute of qualifying here.
I think he can do a double soft stint and see if the rain comes, but I seriously, in all honesty, I don't think the softs are the way to go here. But like I said before, and even before that, track position is key, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And I mean, if Skilla is going to be trying the soft tire strategy and rotation, like you're mentioning, going for a soft to then head into the switchover period, I think Skilla's key is to really just get off the line, off the start as quick as possible, and try to build that gap as much as he can, knowing that drivers, as of now, alongside him on the second row of the grid are going to be on the, well, ever so slightly slower medium tires, which in theory could help him out here, having a little bit more pace off the start, but we'll have to see how qualifying ends as time ticks down. There goes Wagner on the softs up into P3, and Jerome snagging that pole position right back, or the provisional pole position with a 109.1. Now, who else is running a lap? So Fion coming around the final corner now. We'll see if he can improve, jump up the order a little bit. Only up to P15 for Sophion. Now is anybody? Total P is having a bit of a moment, clipping that, just coming outside of the tunnel. I don't know what turn that is, but just clipping that wall there and sending the car for a spin.
He did the correct thing to wait there, so people pass by. Very well done of him to get out of the way in such a narrow track. I think, yeah, that Sweet Crown or Voter has backed off, and Total Peace crashed. It's only remained ISRL Knight, who also now pits. So that's qualifying over.
Yep, that's gonna do it here for qualifying. So I mean, Jerome finding that lap right when he needed it, snagging pole position away from Skill at the last possible moment. Although it is a front row lockout for soft tire runners. Justice though on the mediums. I'd be a little bit worried as a top 2 with the pace Justice has shown, being that fast on those 2-lap old medium tires. I expect to see Justice to maybe pull a little bit of magic out of his hat here off the start, going into turn 1. I won't go as far as saying heroics into Sandovat, but I think Justice could maybe go for a move here, maybe try to snag a P2, snag that P1 into turn 1, and try to run away with it with those mediums.
Yeah, I mean, he has pretty much, nothing to lose on those mediums in P3. He can dive into the inside and see, he's more hoping of a bad start from Skilla than Jeroen actually, but he will have, I think it's the inside line, I don't remember who starts where, but
I believe it's the inside line for P1, if I remember correctly. Yes, I do believe it's the inside line that he's going to get. So it's going to be interesting as we head into the race. I mean, of course, Passassin and Carmentelis, P5, P6, also on the medium tires, can go a little bit longer. Everybody else in the top 10, they set that time on the soft, so they might not go as long. They might need to take a soft tire to soft tire pit stop, but they're going to have a bit more raw pace off the get-go here. But qualifying's come to a close. We're jumping into the race lobby, and we'll see how the drivers can handle this under the night sky here in Monaco. Dry to start as we expected, but of course the big question is when is the rain going to come, and how hard is the rain going to fall when it does come? And do you have any predictions here going into the race?
I honestly think Justas will get this win here today. There were some rain, so I believe in my guys, my sources, that it's gonna come down good. So yeah, we'll see. But for me, Justas P1, that's my prediction.
All right.
Everything else is up to you.
All right, we'll roll with it. I mean, every time I make a prediction, it just completely blows up in my face. So, you know what? I'm going to go big or go home and say whoever's starting in last position here on the grid is going to win the race. That's going to be my bold prediction here going into this.
Well, it might be not. I mean, it's Monaco, to be fair. It might not be as bold as you think, actually. But we will see.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'm looking here as we're going through the formation lap. Of course, top 10, starting on the tires, they set that quickest lap time on in qualifying. So, Jerome, Skilla, Wagner, Wouter, Jamie, and Mark, Nathan, JB on the soft tires, with Justice, Passassin, and Carmentalist on the mediums. But crucially, everybody outside of the top 10, they all chose to put on the what looks to be the much more racy medium tires here to start the race. So I think going to a little bit of what we're mentioning, going to try to extend the medium tires as much as they can into that changeover period once the rain starts to fall, and essentially just one stop from the medium tires onto well, let's say the intermediate tires once that time comes here. So we'll see. I guess we'll have to see which strategy is going to work out. And I mean, of course, who can pull it off without creating a little bit more chaos along the way, avoiding the walls, avoiding front wing damage. It's one thing to do it in qualifying, but of course when you've got 20 drivers bunched up together here in the first few laps, anything can happen here, as we've seen in the past, and as I'm sure we'll be seeing again in the future. So I'm excited, as already formation lap done and dusted. One of the quicker formation laps here on the circuit, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, whenever I'm doing a race, I just hate formation laps. They're so boring. So have a short track is like the best thing for me.
Yeah, very happy it doesn't take too long here on this track, but there we go. Grid is lined up and ready to go, and I'll take us through the 5 red lights and the start of the grid here in just a moment, once we do get the cue in just a little bit. So here we go, up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are racing here in Monaco as the drivers head down towards turn 1, and it looked to be a very poor start from Skilla, as already Justice making a move to get up into second position. Jerome, though, had a great start as he's leading this Grand Prix. Passassin up into third now, as Skilla really falling down the order, as now alongside with Passassin. There's a little bit of contact between the two drivers, but it looks like there's still... Sorry, what was that?
Passassin has to get this move done. He does not want to lose position to Justas, who needs to be behind him.
but they've been going alongside for nearly half a lap now, as they're essentially wheel to wheel, just can't seem to get away from one another. But it looks like now Skilla is just able to finally get ahead, getting that inside line. Now, there was a yellow flag that came out a little bit earlier, not too sure what that was for, as Total P's getting ahead of Nathan JB to go up into a top 10 position on those mediums, right up on the back of Jamie 1 here as they're chasing down. But I mean, for the most part, it looks to be a very good start from a lot of the field here. I don't think there was any big incidents here through the first lap, so some good driving from the drivers here as we all make it through relatively safely. But the top two really starting to run away with this already a little bit. A 1.8 second, nearly a 2-second gap between Justice in second and Skill in third. I'm sure that battle with Passassin for half a lap did not help the case whatsoever for Skilla and that gap.
Yeah, and just as getting the move on Skilla at the start. Oh, we have Carmentalis and Wagner exchanging places there. But yeah, back to Just as getting the move at the start, which was really crucial for his strategy now. And now, if we're rooting for Jeroen, he has to really get his foot down and just try to pull a gap from Just as. But yeah, Just as very well done there at the start, I must say.
Yep, and I mean, a lot of it oh my goodness, sorry, words are being difficult for me right now. A lot of it was helped by the fact that Skill, I think, had a very poor start, to say the least. As Wagner clips the wall a little bit on the exit of the swimming pool section, creates a little bit of a backup here, and a bit of a car park is Sophion, AJ Wuhan having a little bit of a battle. Wagner having to pit to fix that front wing, I think, after that little contact with the wall. So it's going to be a bit of a lengthy pit stop for him here, and he's going to have a lot of work to do to catch back up to the field.
And yeah, Carmentalis, I think Carmentalis got led by Sweet Crown, because it didn't look like it was much of a fight there.
No, I didn't see much of that.
Me neither, actually, but Sweet Crown's going pretty slow, so I just figured he let him by. And maybe it's because he's on the medium tires, Carmentalist, and needs to get this strategy right.
Yeah, it could be different strategies. Yeah, that's for Funky Chicken, who was facing the wrong way on the exit of the, I think it's the Lotus hairpin, as it's called, that very slow hairpin that you take down in first gear. So he's since got that resolved, but a little bit similar to Wagner with the pit stop. There's a big gap now that Funky Chicken's going to have to close up to try to catch back up to the main group of cars. And it looks like now we're starting to see a couple groups forming. Jamien, though, putting a lot of pressure on Mark. I thought he was going to go for a move into turn one, but just was not able to close up enough of a gap to make that work. Justice, meanwhile, right up on the back of Jeroen. And sort of like what you were saying, Jeroen really needs to get a move on, but it doesn't look like that's happening too much, or at least whatever move on Jeroen's getting, Justice just seems to be right up on the pace on those medium tires. So let's see, is Justice maybe going to go for an overtake? Not quite, but quite possibly down that start-finish straight if he can get the exit out of the final corner, and we could maybe see a lead change going into lap 5.
Yeah, and Justice, I just noticed, has about 40% more ERS than Jeroen. He's almost... Justice has literally a full tank of ERS. So he's really just holding back at the moment. He does not want to overtake Jeroen. And why shouldn't he really? It's a risky move, and he has nothing to gain from it.
Well, no, nothing to gain, everything to lose. And I mean, especially here in Monaco, it's an overtaking track that you need to be more than 100% certain that you're going to get the overtake done. Like, maybe about 110, 120% certain that you're going to get it. If there's any inkling of a doubt, you're better off just staying behind and keeping where you are, because if you're going to try to go for a move when you're not certain, more often than not, you're probably going to force yourself into a mistake, outbrake yourself, clip the wall a little bit, and that can create a little bit more chaos for yourself. And that's, of course, that's the best case scenario. Never mind the fact that you might end up taking another driver with you and creating a bit more of an incident. But what happened to Sophion at the back of the field? He's going very slowly and really being overtaken, and Nathan JB as well, losing a couple positions too on track here.
He has right end plate damage, so I think he just understeered and had to brake.
Yep, and Nathan JB, meanwhile, he's got no front wing on that car. So he's going to have to take a pit stop. I noticed Wagner left the session, so hopefully that's connection issues more than anything else. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Mark right up on the back of Wouter, who, I mean, Wouter really not showing a lot of pace here around Monaco. Seems to be lacking a step compared to what we're used to seeing. Mark down the inside of the casino section, and it was close.
Yeah, he definitely lost the wing. Yeah, definitely got some damage there at least. I think maybe side pod or something, because yeah, that was just a pinch to the wall there. And I noticed Passassin got a penalty, which is a big deal around here when you're this close and the strategy is this different.
I didn't even notice that when it happened, but you're right, he did take a penalty as, hang on a minute, Mark and Jamian were essentially alongside. Looks like Mark just got the overtake done to get up into P6, but Mark now also has a penalty in the process, so might have actually cut the corner just a tiny little bit, getting that overtake done on Jamian, because it wasn't quite there. And Mark diving into the pits now, so either changing his tires or getting a wing change.
Yeah, and Walter also got a penalty now for flag extending, so drivers really pushing the limits here for the maximum amount of lap time, and it's biting them back.
Yep, I mean, it is, as much as you wouldn't think about it here in Monaco, given how close the walls are, there are still those corners that can get you. I mean, the main culprits are, of course, this corner we're seeing Passassin about to come through now. If you take the inside curb just a little bit too much, I think that'll really get you for a 3-second penalty. Of course, coming through the swimming pool chicane rotation, you mentioned it through the flying lap that we were seeing. There's that one curve that you can cut right there that we saw Passassin take. And, I mean, once again, if you cut it too much, you'll ride that sausage curve, but you'll also take a 3-second penalty, or at least a warning for extra good measure. So drivers really needing to find that line between where they can and can't position that car over the course of this race here in Monaco.
Yeah, and speaking about the swimming pool chicane, right as you said that, Justas rode the curve too much and hit the wall on the right hand side, so I think he's okay for the moment, but he might have some damage that we can't see, so we'll have to keep an eye on his pace, but for now it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it is looking good. I'm not seeing any visible damage on the front wing of that car, but like you were saying, there could be some damage we're not aware of. Still looks to be keeping pace with the drone here in this sake, but now they've got a little bit of an added bonus of skill in Passassin. They've recaught back up to this top two. Remember, a couple laps ago, there was a 1.8 second, nearly a 2-second gap separating second and third position. Now down to less than a second here. And with DRS active, we could maybe see a little bit of moves here going into turn one if they're not too careful, if they're not paying attention. I mean, Passassin closing up on Skilla. Oh, but Passassin clips the wall just a little bit there. A little bit of a love tap there. I don't think it gave him too much damage, but could have been much worse for the Mercedes driver if he wasn't too careful there.
Yeah, I just noticed both Skill and Passassin have like less than 30% ERS, and Justas and Jeroen have over 50. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that Assassin and Skilla are, you know, slow, but I think that they managed to sorry, I just lost my words.
All right. I mean, I do think. Well, I think. I think in terms of maybe running on that a little bit, I think they were using a lot more ERS. In part battling amongst themselves, but a little bit of a secondary benefactor was that with the extra use of ERS, they were able to close that gap back up to the top two. I mean, Carmentalist is flirting right behind. Oh my goodness! Right as I jump on board with Carmentalist, I just got a nice little view of Passassin's car hitting off the wall of the final corner and nearly just taking Carmentalist out with him. Thank goodness ghosting was on, and yep, that's Passassin into the wall at Saint-Devote now, one corner later, and that's going to be the end of his Grand Prix.
He had wing damage coming into that corner, and I think he just misjudged his braking point.
Yep, it looks like that was the case, or I do very much hope that was the case there. Meanwhile, Isaac Kush getting ahead of Feral Fury into turn one, as looks like the AlphaTauri of Isaac Kush is starting to get a little bit of a move on. He's been relatively quiet here around Monaco, but up into P10. A 3-second gap to close up to Knight, who's running pretty decently in 9th in a little train of cars between himself, AJ, and XL Tin Can. I think with the pace we know Isaac Kush has, I think he could get involved and maybe create a little bit of chaos himself with that next grouping of cars that he's trying to catch up with.
Yes. Nothing more to add on that, really. But Isaac, we all know he has some very nice pace, and unfortunately his qualifying wasn't the greatest. But making up for it in the race, and I hope we'll see some good and spicy overtakes from him.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that. I mean, I'm currently riding with Carmentalist right now, where right as Skill was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief knowing Passassin was out of that rear view. Carmentalist just said, well, hang on a minute, I'm still here too. And it's Carmentalist's turn now to try to get past Skilla. But I mean, Skilla putting on a little bit of a defensive clinic, it seems, albeit that gap between second and third has regrown back up to 2 seconds now, compared to where it was just a couple laps ago with those 5 cars all one behind another. So I think it really just goes to show the pace that these top two have, and oh my goodness, Justice practically pushing Jerome around the final few corners, and I think he's going to get the overtake done. Going alongside into turn one, he gets it done, goes deep and hits the wall, it looks like. And that is going to be Jerome's... Oh no, a big moment as now Justice facing the wrong way, trying to keep Skilla behind, but just losing the car a little bit in the process here.
So, yeah, commentator's curse there. Me having a prediction on him.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm happy it wasn't my call. But... No, a little unfortunate for Justice, but with the pace he's had, it's only lap 12 out of 39. So as much as it's not ideal for him, he still has enough time to take a pit stop and try to work his way back up the field. Although it is going to be very much a challenge, as now Jamie getting ahead, and I think Total Peas is going to follow right along suit, and they will get the overtake done as Justice has no front wing on that Alfa Romeo, so really having to nurse that car to the pit lane.
Yeah, and as we all know, Justice is in REL, and his team owner made a prediction 3 minutes ago, saying Justice, Car Mentalist, and Skilla for the podium. So maybe he jinxed him and not me.
We'll go with that one because it makes both of us feel better and probably look better too.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna blame the team owner on that one for the jinxing. Totally wasn't our fault here with the commentator's curse.
Definitely not. We are totally innocent, mate.
I mean, hey, my prediction is going pretty well so far. I'm not gonna... I know who it is. I'm not gonna say the name, though, because I don't want to go ahead and make things worse for him. But looks like it's going pretty well so far. Flying under the radar. But with a little bit of race to go, could still work his way up a little bit. And catching up to his teammate in the process. But I've got AJ Wuhan on the screen right now, trying to close up XL Tin Can. Meanwhile, Total Peas and Jamie are just continuing this battle they're having amongst each other. Jamie hanging on to that P4, but you can see how close Total Peas is getting. Trying to force Jamie into a mistake. A little bit of a tank slapper from Jamie right before Raz Kaz, but thankfully nothing more than just that. But with the help of DRS, let's see.
Just a spun in the tunnel.
Ooh, that's not good. And I saw you left the session as well, as a little bit of contact made, and that is Total Peas getting ahead of Jamie. But I did see Justice left the session, so I do hope that's once again. I hope it's connection issues and not just a frustrated leave from a driver. 'Cause of course, if that's the case, just bring the car into the pits and retire there. Much better for everyone, especially here around Monaco, where the AI can really mess up a race if it truly wants to. And most of the time, let's be honest, the AI kind of does want to mess up a race.
Yeah, definitely. Exciting battle now is Car Mentalist and Jeroen, because Justas is now out of contention, so it's up to Car Mentalist to get that REL victory now.
Yep, so I'm watching this battle right now as here he goes down into turn 1. Ooh, I thought he was going to have the move on the outside.
The rain is here.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice, but you're right. The rain is starting to fall ever so slightly, so it looks like depending on how hard it's going to start falling over the next few laps, maybe that choice of those soft tires might not be the end of the world for those who are still running with them. I mean, at this point, most have taken the pit stop, and look at the move from Carmentalist down the inside of the Lotus hairpin, side by side. Now it's gonna be a little bit sketchy around this next corner, but they're able to get themselves sorted out, and Jerome just hanging on to P1. Here comes the Carmentalist once again, trying to squeeze down the outside. Turns into the inside, and I think now he's got the move done, and behind them, I thought Skilla was maybe going to try for an opportunity himself, but just unable to close up enough to get it done.
Excellent move there by Car Mentalist, and a crucial one now, because theoretically Jeroen can go to the inters now, or like when it gets very like wet enough, but you know, so the soft call wasn't that bad, but of course the mediums now are very much faster, so crucial move for Car Mentalist to just build a gap now to Jeroen.
Yep, and he's already doing a good job of that, bringing that gap to around 1.4 seconds and growing. But I think what we're also seeing is that with Jeroen and Skilla on the soft tires, they're still 15 laps old, plus the whatever laps they did in qualifying. So I do think they're starting to hit that cliff ever so slightly, starting to really fall out of peak performance range. And I mean, look at this. I mean, Car Mentalist is just running away now. 3.1 seconds is the gap now, and it just seems like it's just going to keep growing and growing. Skilla, meanwhile, I thought he was going to go for it go for a move on Jeroen, but Jeroen just able to hang on to that P2. But between these two drivers battling, it's exactly what Car Mentalist wants to be able to grow that gap that much more on Jeroen here.
Yeah, and Nathan has already fit the intermediate tires, so I'm really interested to see how they are performing. And right now they're not performing at all.
No, they're not looking all that great. It looks like he's losing a lot of time, but I mean, with Nathan JB, with the luck he's had here in these early stages, he's already pit once for a new wing, as XL Tin Can now getting ahead of Jamie in this battle. But Nathan JB down the order, having already pit for a wing once, I think really there's little to lose and everything to gain. So of course, if the changeover does happen sooner rather than later, if he's got that extra jump, it could just be exactly what he needs to really close that gap up and maybe gain a few positions in the process. It's a lot easier said than done, but we've seen it in the past with the intermediate tires, how quickly things can change over, and once they do, the slick tires just really fall off a cliff, they fall off a mountain.
Yeah, and Knight and AJ just had a pretty nice battle there, and AJ is now ahead of Knight. They were going side by side through the Lowe's hairpin and through the tunnel until AJ Wuhan edged ahead.
Yep, and Isaac Kush now is getting involved with this as well. Like I mentioned, he had to close up that gap. He has closed up that gap now, and he's sitting along right behind Knight. But with the help of DRS, given it is still activated here, it is a bit of a train being led by Jamie, and now AJ trying to go. AJ. Trying to go for a move into Sandovat, but just outbraking himself a little bit. Knight, meanwhile, he's able to get ahead of Jamie and over through the casino section to get up into P6. Able to leave Isaac Kush behind, who's now going to go for an overtake on Jamie and down the inside. There goes Mark now, if he's thought about going for it, but I think Jamie won on those soft tires. I think he's really out of that peak performance range. You can see he's struggling, sliding around the corners, not having that grip on the corner exits. And right here, you're seeing Mark just getting so much more pace, so much more speed. As we've got a yellow flag here somewhere. What happened? Oh,
in the chicane. I think he hit the inside wall at the entry, and you can hit that with your rear wheel and it would just turn you around like that.
Yeah, I think that was the case. I was riding on board with Mark. It was so I just missed it as I saw the overtake. Meanwhile, Jerome pitting for intermediate tires. So it looks like we've got another one that's going to try to go for it. And, I mean, it does look like the rain is starting to fall a little bit harder. AJ Wuhan is out of this race, as I think that was a DNF in the pits. Nathan JB, a little bit of a similar fate, as he's now out of this race, DNFing in the pits. So that early call for intermediate tires really didn't work out for him, and I think he decided enough was enough for him.
Nathan JB's car is currently on the track, and it's continuing.
Yeah, I think it's going to go up until just past the end of Sector 1, where finally there is that runoff area that car can pull over and retire. I mean, Monaco being Monaco with the very limited areas that it can pull over, and that's exactly what it did. It just so happens that area is just halfway across the track compared to just a few corners down, like we're normally used to seeing on traditional circuits.
And Jeroen got a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting, so not ideal.
Nope, not ideal
for this race.
Oh no. And I think he is a little bit early on the intermediate tires himself. Just given Wouter got ahead very quickly, and just looking at Jeroen, he's just sliding around every corner, looking more like a rally car than a Formula 1 car at this stage of the race. And you can see Feral Fury, Sophion, I mean, they're battling amongst each other, which isn't helping. It almost looked like Sophion, or one of those two drivers, might have hit the wall into turn 1, which is helping Jeroen a little bit, but I do think it's not quite just the time yet, as look at that, Sophion just blowing by Jeroen here at the end of Sector 1, as they're now heading down towards down the hill into the Lotus hairpin.
Yeah, and I don't think Jeroen wanted to pit onto the intermediates, but his tires were, I think, very dead, and I think he hoped for a heavy patch of rain soon, and unfortunately it didn't come for him.
No, and I think it's a little bit of that. I wouldn't say it was sort of what you were talking about a little bit, as I think XLRJ and Wouter just got stuck a little bit there. There was a yellow flag into Razkas. But I think it goes back to what you were mentioning here, where the medium tires was a bit more the optimal strategy to start the race, because you can go much longer and have a better feel going into that changeover period. As Izat Kush gets ahead of XL Tin Can, and now Mark getting ahead of XL Tin Can as the McLaren. But Izat Kush into the wall now as he just got bumped around. He's got no front wing on that. On that Aston Martin, so a little unfortunate. He got the move done, but you were saying he got hit? It looked like you just went a little too hot into the wall from my point of view that I had.
I was on with Mark at the time, and I didn't have time to react, but I heard the noise and I just saw Izat going straight to the wall. So yeah, he definitely got hit.
I see. So very unfortunate for Izat Kush, as you can see now letting his teammate by, but he's gonna have to nurse that car into the pit lane and take that extended pit stop to get that wing change. Skilla now finally getting off of those soft tires, and he's gonna be putting on a set of intermediate tires himself. So once again, as we were mentioning time after time, is it now time for the intermediate tires finally, or is this going to be a bit of a bad call for Skillen? Is he going to lose out a little bit more? Izak Kush doing something a little bit similar, putting on a set of intermediate tires. So we're starting to see more drivers go for the risk.
Yeah, but you know, Izat had wing damage, so I think it's just more logical for him to pit on the inters and struggle for a few laps. And Skilla, I think it's the same with Juro, and that his tires were just dead. But we'll see. I don't think the intermediates are quite up to pace yet, but it might be a lap or two if they're unlucky, and they'll be there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the rain is still falling, but it's a very light rain. And I mean, the track doesn't seem to be getting as wet as you might hope for. I'm not seeing as much spray either, as I've got Sophion. Oh, a little bit of contact between Sophion and Skilla, as that was nearly the Codemaster's side pod glitch. Oh, but more contact between the two drivers there, as I think Skilla bounced off the wall right into Sophion, who then hit the wall himself. I don't think there's any damage from either one of those cars, but I think we're starting to maybe see now a bit more of that changeover time, as Sophion taking a pit stop, and he was really starting to slide a little bit on those medium tires. So
he was definitely in a hurry there.
Oh yeah. I'm going to keep an eye out on Skilla. He's starting to have a little bit more pace than what we've seen in the past with the intermediates. But I mean, the question is, are the gaps closing, or are they growing? And I'm looking at the gap between Skilla and Wouter, and it looks like that gap is continuing to grow ever so slightly. So I think we're either still in slick tire area, or maybe just around that point of changeover where the intermediates start having pace, but they're just not quite in that optimal pace range yet. You know, the good old the good old fashioned Jeff. I don't know which tire's the best one. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, definitely. I can confirm Sophian did get damage from that battle with Skilla, and he changed his wing, and he's now onto the soft tires. So if it is time for the intermediates, then Sophian has really chosen the wrong tire.
But I mean, just a little, I'm going to bring up, there's this little counterpoint here, just because we've seen it in the past. This could also be a good move if we take into account that maybe that changeover period is just never going to come. Because what we could be seeing is just, yes, rain, but it could be that type of rain that we tend to see where it's rainy, it's not great conditions, but it's just never truly time for intermediate tires, right? Like, I'm still seeing DRS getting activated over the course of laps down that start-finish straight, generally when DRS gets deactivated tends to be the or at least my cue to take a pit stop on the intermediates, but it doesn't seem like that point's coming here, and the laps are starting to tick down here with only 13, 14 laps to go in this Grand Prix. That's honestly just been flying by up until now.
It's it's 39 laps, but the laps are very short, so it's gonna go by quickly. We have intermediates for Knight and who's that? Mark.
Yeah, it looks like Knight, Mark, Tin Can, Wouter's pitting too. Let's see what he's gonna put on. He's putting on a set of intermediate tires and taking a new front wing in the process, which could explain why Wouter was so slow, maybe having some damage that we weren't able to see very early on, and might also explain why he was letting so many drivers through. Top 3, meanwhile, Carmentalist, Total P's, and XLRJ, well, they're staying out on their medium tires, trying to go a little bit longer here, and with half the grid on slicks, half the grid on intermediates, essentially. Looks like more to come on the intermediates. I think now we're starting to hit that changeover period. Yeah, Carmentalist pitting. Yeah, it looks like now's the time, and I'm truly starting to see spray off the car from the rear of Total P's, from the rear of XLRJ, who just has to take a funky line and a time second penalty just to make it through the corner. Yep, go figure. Of course, when I mentioned the it might not come, the changeover period came.
Yeah, and the mediums, they wouldn't continue for that much longer, you know.
Oh, no.
They would have pitted anyway, so it's good that it came for them.
I hope so. I mean, I will say, Rotation, you were right as well with, I think it was Sophion who put on that set of soft tires. Lasted all of 1 lap for him before he had to go pit again for the set of intermediates, so a little bit of a missed call from the pit lane crew, but really, up until half a lap ago, I was agreeing with the call. I didn't think the intermediate tire conditions were ever gonna come here. Thought it was just sort of like we were gonna talk about it and then just find out that we are gonna finish 39 laps of just light rain and slick tires.
Yeah, but this game has a tendency to make the track very wet in less than a lap.
Oh yeah.
It rains. So I don't blame you for that call.
Yeah, but Jamie, and now the last of the slick tire runners taking a pit stop here and putting on probably going to be putting on a set of intermediate tires. Now everybody on the intermediates, but it looks like as far as I'll call it the damage here, it looks like it's already been done. Gaps have truly started to form here, so it's really going to come down to who's got more pace and what weather running. Who put in the time here around Monaco on the intermediate tires in the wet weather conditions, and who can try to make some moves here. I mean, Carmentalist in a great spot with that 18-second gap to Total P's. So, I mean, Carmentalist looking very comfortable here around Monaco. Other than that, it looks like everybody's just kind of running their own races, running their deltas, and just trying to close up as much as they can.
Yeah, and I'm reading now in the chat that people are not happy with Izzat's internet connection. So, he is, of course, from Singapore, and most of the grid are from Europe, and Singapore is in Asia. So, there's a bit of, I wouldn't say desync, but it's just lag with Izzat sometimes, and I've been also in a position where I have to drive very carefully because I don't know where Izzat's car is gonna teleport next, and this track is a lot worse because it's so narrow and you always have to get your braking on point.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's there's not much runoff when it does happen. So it's that much more stressful compared to just compared to a normal track where maybe you've got that extra little margin for error. Here in Monaco, well, you're really being cautious because you don't want to just end up out of nowhere just into a wall due to possible connection issues.
Yeah, but you know, we can't do anything about is that, you know, it's not his fault, so we can all just accept it and move on.
Oh yeah, it's a part
of. The drivers are not happy.
No, drivers aren't happy, but I mean, of course, as a driver, unless you're on the top step of the podium, are you really happy? I mean, that's the way I like to see it. Nobody's really happy unless they're on the top step of the podium. So I think Car Mentalist might be the only driver who's truly driving happy right about now. In P1, still with a very comfortable gap here, nearly a full pit stop ahead of Total P's on track. But I do have to hand it to Knight, a Division 2 driver. He has had practice here in these intermediate tire conditions in the Division 2 race, but running a fantastic drive so far here in Monaco, up into P3, and honestly just having a great drive all around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but Knight was struggling for points last season in Division 1, and now he's on for a podium, so that's a very good drive from him, I must say.
Oh yeah, having a good drive, and I mean, he's been able to keep his nose clean, which here in Monaco is definitely a good thing. Is now Wouter getting ahead of Excel RJ to go up into P8. So Wouter's starting to make some moves here, and with that fresh front wing that he put on when he did take the pit stop for intermediates, now he's starting to get a move on a little bit more. But with 10 laps to go and looking at the gaps, I mean, it might be a little too late for him. But yeah, back to Knight. Last season struggling for points, didn't have a great season, but sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you guys in Europe with football, maybe there's a similar thing, but I like to see it a little bit like for us in Canada with hockey, where sometimes a player gets sent down to a lower division, so to say, just to get that confidence back. And all of a sudden, when they're back in the top tier division, well, that confidence is there and they're just flying. And I mean, that could exactly be it for Knight. Just had some. He's doing good in Division 2, second in the championship, and taking that confidence here in Division 1.
Definitely. So it's good to see the league owner like doing a great job in the best division. So
oh yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Aston Martins exchanging positions here. Maybe Zach Kush getting ahead. Yep, Mark and Skilla now going side by side here through the casino section. Almost a little bit of contact there between the two drivers, but Mark getting ahead up into fourth. Looks like I mean Feral Fury, who's a lapped car, out there for support too, as he's trying to unlap himself a little bit, but doesn't want to hinder his teammate too much here in this battle, knowing that there's a possible P4 on the line for Skilla here. But for now, Mark is holding on to it. A little bit of a moment there from Skilla from what I saw on the onboard. Not able to close up enough going into the corner, maybe on the corner exit if he can get the traction. But no, it's it'd be a very daring move to try to go for it here in this section of the track, especially through the swimming pool section where those walls come up very quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah, and to be fair to Skilla, he doesn't actually have to make the move as Mark is on penalties, but you know, every racing driver wants to show everybody how good he is, so he's gonna go for it anyway.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. Sort of I think I mention this more often than not when in this situation where I mean you can take the position on penalties, but you know you want to be able to show the other drivers, well, I didn't need the penalties to get ahead of you. I'm just that much better, and I think that might be whether he wants to believe it or not. I think Skilla deep down probably has that too, but of course still not trying to force a move, still being patient here on the overtake. He's still got 8 laps to go to get it done. It's just nice to have that little safety net, knowing that you've got it either way under penalties after the fact. he's got to watch out because Jerome, albeit he has 11 seconds himself, Jerome, he's going to be creeping up to them ever so slightly if they're not careful. And we've seen the pace Jerome has. I mean, he was leading the race for a decent amount of time here, so we know that Jerome can fly here on Monaco when on a good day. And once he does get that clean air, it could be seeing a bit more of the same here.
Yeah, and you know, on a track like this and in this weather condition, actually, it's so important to have the patience, you know, when you want to do a move. So I have to give some props to Skilla for being this patient. You know, some people would say that, oh wait, Giron is on the wets.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention that, let's yeah, so he is putting on a set of full wet tires. I mean, now that you mention that, looking at the weather that's been in front of my face for a good while, it really looks like the rain is starting to fall a lot harder than what it had been here. But when I'm looking at the track, there's and there's starting to be a little bit more standing water on the racing track here, so I can't really complain with the call from Jerome here, but if I'm gonna jump on board with them ever so slightly, we'll have to see how this car handles with the full wets, and crucially, is he going to be able to maybe close up some of these gaps to drivers ahead?
He just made up half a second for the Lowe's hairpin, so the wets are definitely the right call, it seems.
Yeah, it looks like it's that time now. And rotation, you were mentioning it, that your insight was mentioning the rain was going to come at the end of the race, and it was going to come hard, and it looks like that's exactly the case here. Lap 33 out of 39, or I guess on lap 32 out of 39, it's really starting to fall, and we're really into the thick of it here with the rain. And I mean, do you think anybody else might pit for a set of wets and just try to go for it, or do you think we're too far into the race to really warrant that strategy?
Car Mentalist will definitely come in. He has a very big gap, and even if he comes out behind Total Peace, he still will be on the faster tire, and from what I'm seeing, the tire will be a lot faster. So and he continues. Here we go. Interesting call. I want to see where this is going.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'll stick with Total Peas just to see if maybe he is going to make a call. Well, actually, hang on a minute, as, Skilla once again right up on the back of Mark, but still can't get the overtake done. But as Total Peas is coming around Razcast, he's going to stay out too, so seems like with 5 laps to go, maybe a lot of drivers just thinking that it's not worth it here, might as well just stay out and suffer through it rather than lose the time this late in the race.
Yeah, to be fair to them, but Jeroen has caught 3 seconds, to RJ.
Yeah, and about a lap and a half, he's closed up 3 seconds, so
there's like 6 laps now, so I mean, RJ and Izzat are in a dangerous position, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Jerome is really flying on the wets. But I mean, of course, us in the booth, it's a little easier to make the call when we do have all of the when we've got all the data in front of us.
Oh, and hits the wall.
Oh yeah, hits the wall, and that's not going to help too much. No visible damage, but like we've seen before, there could be some damage that we're not aware of on that Mercedes. But
so Car Mentalist feels like he doesn't pit and lose a position to Total Peace. So, and I think if Car Mentalist would have pitted, Total Peace would have continued. So I think, in hindsight, I think he made the right call by staying out. But as we said in qualifying a lot too, the track position is key. Even if you're on the wets, I think the intermediates would do fine in this weather anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like they are still doing fine. I mean, they're slower than the full wets, but given that we're near the end of the race, given how difficult it is to get an overtake done, I think Carmental is staying out. It's probably a decent call, and I mean, of course, for Carmentalist, he is leading the race after all, right? So even if he does stay out, for drivers behind, they either close up 23 seconds in a span of the next few laps. Oh, as we've got a yellow flag here on track. Was that Sophion maybe that brought that out? I think maybe just missing his braking zone. But Jerome actually putting back on a set of intermediate tires as he's just coming out of the pits now. So maybe he felt differently. He felt as if those full wet tires weren't working as well as for him as we might have thought here in the booth.
And he just got lapped by Carmentalist. So I don't really understand why he pitted twice. I mean, yes, the wets were faster, but surely I think Jeff would have said something like the rain would be lighter, so stick on the intermediates or something, but
yeah, but I mean, we all know how inconsistent Jeff can be, even on the best of days, right? He'll give the Red Bull, he'll tell the Red Bull it's time for full wets, while telling the let's say a McLaren that no, intermediates all the way, no full wets at all. So maybe he trusted the call, or maybe just tried something. And I mean, the other thought could have just been that maybe he did take a little bit too much damage and figured, well, nobody else is pitting for full wets, so might as well get back on the inters and just be on the same tire as everybody else.
And there's a yellow flag.
That looked to be a McLaren. That might have been Funky Chicken that brought that out. Nobody really around him, so maybe just a bit of a tank slap or losing the back end, keeping that car under control. But hang on, here comes Skilla. He's going to try to go for a move on Mark. That was very close between the two drivers, as they nearly both ended up into the wall together as Mark swung that car back across and nearly taking Skilla with them in the process. But Mark hanging on to that P4, but a little sketchy there, going through the tunnel and into that hard braking zone. But both drivers able to keep things under control, stay out of trouble, and keep those front wings on that car. Now more yellow flags as looks like the two Haas's as they're heading down the hill had a little bit of a moment, I guess. But it looks like that's been since resolved, and I mean, it could just be how slow these cars need to go to make these hard braking zones that are bringing out the yellow flags here. Now that I'm thinking about it.
And I just want to go back to that Mark and Skilla battle coming to the chicane, because I was very impressed by Mark's defending there, leaving just enough room for Skilla to put his nose in, but he has the corner and he squeezes him so perfectly, I must say. So such good defending from Mark there. I'm very impressed, I must say. And he's now ahead. So.
Yeah, and he's still kept ahead, albeit Skilla putting a lot of pressure. I mean, more yellow flags here. I think Sophion's just bringing out yellow flags once again, as he's had enough now. A couple laps to the end as he retires in the pit lane. But while you're mentioning your point with the Skilla and Mark, we saw Izad Kush get alongside of Wouter. That was very close, as these three cars are really close together here, trying to battle amongst themselves. Wouter able to stick behind, did make slight contact with the rear diffuser of XL Tin Can in the process through the Lotus hairpin, but it doesn't look like that's affected him too much. And now Wouter might get a run going up the casino section, but no, XL Tin Can able to close the door just in time before Wouter can get his front wing, get that nose into the opening. So XL Tin Can, he's doing a good defending job himself, trying to keep the Ferrari, and of course by association as well, the Aston Martin of Wouter and Izad Kush behind him here as we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, and with only a lap and a little bit to go here. I think we might maybe start to see a little bit more desperation moves from some of these drivers, just trying to get these overtakes done, trying to get that extra position on the by the time they cross the line at the end of lap 39.
Yeah, is that... Oh, there we have Tinkan spinning.
Tinkan, who's went for a spin facing the wrong way, gets that car back on track, but I think he might have just clipped that wall there that you can see on your screen on the right hand side, left hand side of the driver. But unfortunate for XL Tinkan, as he was running a very solid P6. But that does unleash Wouter and Izat Kush, I guess I should say, to try to catch up to that battle between Skilla and Mark. But it might be too little too late, as everybody's on the final lap of the Grand Prix here. Lap 39 out of 39. I mean, with Carmentalist at this point coming through the swimming pool chicane here, really his race to lose with only a couple corners to go, and I would not be surprised to see him just nurse the car around the final few corners, as he's actually doing right here, right now on your screen. But there we go, around the final corner. Dominant drive from the AlphaTauri driver, crosses the line, and he takes the victory here in Monaco. Fantastic drive from Carmentalist.
Victory.
And
very strong victory, I must say.
Yeah.
Total P's, P2 now, penalty, but good position anyway.
And looking at the gap, I think the penalty is going to be irrelevant here as he crosses the line in P2, and with Knight in third, a full 20 seconds behind, I don't think Total P's is going to lose that P2. But you mentioned it as he's coming around the final corner now. Knight, a fantastic drive, and he snags a podium here, reserving for Division 1, and he takes P3. Skilla and Mark were alongside, and Skilla gets the overtake done right before the line, and Wouter now rounds out the top 5 here as Mark and his penalties fall down to P6.
Yeah, so I think that's the end of the race. I just want to say, on the last lap, I saw that Izat gained a 5-second time penalty, and it was coming out of the first hairpin there. I think he passed Sweet Crown off the track and then gave it back to him, so I think the stewards will remove that penalty. But the results may not be as accurate, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I didn't quite see it happen on tracks. I think I was too busy just watching the leaders cross the line. But I mean, if that was the case, if it does get reported, I'm sure the stewards probably wouldn't have an issue with it, especially if he did give that position back after getting the illegal overtake. But I mean, it was a good race here. All concerned with Monaco had a lot of excitement, and with the leaving me on the edge of my seat with the weather as it played out. But I mean, I got to hand it to Carmentalist. Once he took the lead of the race, he didn't look back. He just ran off, and I mean, basically said, "Catch me if you can," and nobody was really able to catch him.
Yeah, and look at Knight from P17 to P3.
My goodness,
that's a mighty drive.
If that's not a driver of the day candidate, I really don't know what is. P17 up to a podium. So I mean, it was a good race all in all, and I mean, rotation. I'm happy you're able to join me in the booth here for it. But I mean, before we close things out here after that very exciting Monaco Grand Prix, do you have any any final thoughts, any final words here before we close things off?
Actually, I have just one thing. Oh no, not one thing, two things. Sorry, Just As, for jinxing you. Strong drive, Carmentalist and Knight. Very, very amazing.
There you go. All right. I mean, like I said, rotation. Once again, thank you for joining us into the booth. I mean, it was great having you here with me, and I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. It was a strong drive. Yeah, for Justice, a little unfortunate, but that totally wasn't the commentator's curse, and that was totally Ariel's owner that jinxed it. Anything else you hear is fake news, I promise. But on that note, I think we'll wrap up the stream here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the stream. I do hope you enjoyed the race as much as I did here in the booth. It was a fantastic drive. But that's going to do it here for the racing this week. We've already hit the end of our race week. But of course, we're going to be back next week. Don't worry. And we're going to have a good one as we take to Silverstone. It's going to be the British Grand Prix. Always a fan favorite. One of my favorite tracks to race. So I'm really excited for it. And I do hope y'all are as well. But until then, on behalf of Rotation, myself, and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I want to say thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a fantastic day. Oh, all right.
Are we not doing podium interviews today?
I mean, we can if you want. I went through the outro. I mean, we can get them. I know it's a little bit later than what we normally are, so that sort of was my thought on skipping them very quickly, just given that we finished a little later than what we normally do.
Okay, it's fine. It's pretty late, to be fair.
All right, so
Goodbye, guys.
All right, yeah, so there we go. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next week, and next week we'll get back to the podium interviews. I'll pinky promise on that one. But have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.